All right, ladies and gentlemen, final step. Follow along today as I install this hydraulic throwout bearing from Tilton onto the TKX to get it ready for the LS. Let's go. Okay, so what do I have here? This is a 6000 series hydraulic clutch release bearing from Tilton. I'm gonna install it on the TKX. I do have to adjust the air gap to make sure it plays well with the power torque clutch. Very important. I'll go over those steps real quick. Short video today, but this is the final step we need to take to bolt that thing up and get it ready for install. Okay, so the air gap, what's that all about? First, I'm going to explain the relationship between these two pieces here, and it'll make it super easy to understand. As I press my foot on the clutch pedal, it's going to cause this bearing to extend and engage the fingers on the pressure plate. As the clutch disc wears out, it's going to get thinner and cause these fingers to move closer toward the surface of this bearing, right? So think about it. If this is too close, as the clutch wears out, eventually it's going to get to the point where these fingers are in constant contact, causing the clutch to slip, almost as if I'm resting my foot on the pedal, right? How do I prevent that? Super easy. Tilton makes a threaded insert here that allows me to adjust how far in or out this thing sits in the bell housing. Some of the other companies use shims, but Tilton, they have the highest quality units here, so I'm going to use a threaded insert to make that adjustment. But first, we have to measure. Super critical. Let's do it. The first measurement I have to take is the distance between the surface of the bell housing and the fingers on the pressure plate. I'm going to use a straight edge and a digital caliper to get that measurement. So first I'm going to lay the straight edge across here. I'm not going to put much pressure on it because I don't want to cause any deflection. And then I'm going to take my digital caliper and use the depth to measure my dimension. Looks like I'm getting 3.074 inches. I'm going to record that measurement. Next, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the inside of this O-ring here and then install the sleeve onto the front of the transmission. Next, I'm going to take the bearing, I'm going to thread the bearing onto the sleeve. So I have the bearing installed. It's not in its final spot. I'm just going to take an initial measurement here to see how far I have to go. I'm laying the straight edge across the front surface of the bearing, and I'm going to measure to the flange where it bolts to the bell housing. So with the digital caliper, straight and flat, I'm getting 3.523 is my measurement. So I'm going to record that and do some math here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you can see this math is just not going to add up, right? So 3.074 from the flange of the bell housing to the fingers on the pressure plate. 3.523 from the mounting surface on the transmission to the edge of the bearing here. So what I'm going to have to do is rotate this inward until I get a final dimension of 2.949 inches. That'll give me an air gap of 0.125. Let's do it. Okay, so I've threaded it in. I've made sure that the dimension from here to here is 2.949 inches. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, hey, is that just going to rotate like that? No. If you'll notice here, there's a little ear sticking out on the side. I have to remove one of the fasteners that holds this in place. There's a threaded stud that sticks out that locates this and keeps it clocked in the same position. So I'm going to remove this now that I know that it's set correctly and install that stud real quick. So looking at it, which bolt do we remove to replace it with the stud here? Well, it really depends what direction we want the hoses to route from. Seeing as I'm going to route these through the clutch fork opening in the bell housing, I want them to exit on the driver's side. The ear is on the bottom driver's side, so I'm going to take this bolt out and replace it with the stud. This part is threaded into aluminum, so never use an impact. Always use a hand tool to get this thing loose, at least to break it loose for the first time. Now, before I put some red thread locker on this thing and install it, I always do a dry run just to make sure my threads are clean. That looks good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and put some red Permatex thread locker on there and install it, torque it to 16 foot-pounds. I don't have a deep enough socket to fit on the torque wrench or a crow's foot, plus two, this is in a recess. So I just snug this thing up. These hands are calibrated. Now that the stud's in place, I can go ahead and dry fit the bearing once more and then double check my dimensions to make sure I have this thing adjusted properly. If I need to make any small adjustments, All it takes is a little rotation on this sleeve here to get it right where it needs to be. Okay, I have it installed, the stud's in place, it's clocked correctly, so now I'm gonna make sure the dimension from the mounting flange to the bearing surface is where it needs to be. Okay, so it's a good thing that I checked because it did move a little bit. So now all I need to do to adjust it is turn that sleeve just a little bit to get it dialed in. So I've made the final adjustments to the sleeve. I'm always gonna check one last time for measurement just to make sure it's straight and accurate. All right, once you have your final dimension set, right, you don't have to move it any further in or out. There's one final thing to check, and that's the length of this stud here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it sticks out maybe a quarter of an inch past the face of this bearing. It's not too much, but it could create some problems. What I mean by that is that could actually interfere with the fingers on the pressure plate. So what Tilton recommends in their instructions is to lop off as much of this as you need. As you can see, it's really long, so I'll probably cut an inch or so off with the cutoff wheel. I'll do that off camera, but I just wanted to point that out. Definitely something to check out before you finish it up. And that's it. Pretty easy, right? So quickly recapping the videos I've made so far. First video, it got nuked because I'm an idiot. I don't know how storage works, but I mounted up the flywheel from a 2001 Chevy Camaro. That went on just fine. I then mounted up the bell housing, checked it for run out, no problems there. I installed the power torque clutch assembly. I got that from O'Reilly Auto Parts. That is also from a 2001 Chevy Camaro too, just in case you guys were wondering. And then last but not least, I did the hydraulic clutch release bearing. So what's next? This thing's ready to install. I do have to do the bleed fittings and some other crap, but I'm gonna wait till I get it in the car to do that. I'm gonna turn the motor around and mount up the accessories. I got an ICT billet accessory mount kit, so I do have to make sure the pulley spacing is correct. I like to verify that before it goes in the car, so that way if I need to make any adjustments, it's gonna be easier to access everything. So that wraps it up for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shout out to my wife for the nitro cold boot. This is perfect right now.